Well, here we are, another week, but a familiar face to us all, and we're in the office of the Mayor of Moose Jaw, and her worship, Mayor Deb Higgins, is with us to talk about the summer and what's happened to us and what the future holds for us. So Deb, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Today is a full day for you.
It is a full day, but it's always, this is a very nice way to start, and welcome to the office.
Oh, thanks.
I'm privileged, I guess. I thought I would have had to have gone over to the
Oh no, we like to
studio
go
itself.
on location.
Oh, good.
Because we like to show people sometimes
Yep.
places that they haven't seen in the community, and that they're a wonderful thing. I just remember looking around, and we were talking about art pieces and different things that are given to people during the course of their lives. And I remember this one scene. I think it's an Airplane. He says, why don't you take some art? And so they went around and started taking pictures off the wall and stuff like that. I'm going like, what would I like?
What would you like?
Yeah. So, but let's talk about, first of all, I think the thing that was most current in our minds is the referendum in Regina.
Yeah.
Amazing response
Yes.
by people, but that has ramifications all over, not just Saskatchewan, but actually Canada.
It does.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it because, I mean, I love the whole
But you're a
Democratic.
political junkie.
No, yeah, I am a bit of a junkie. And Moose Jaw. I mean, Moose Jaw went through a couple referendums over Mosaic Place and the whole downtown soccer field facilities. So it's interesting to see how it works in other communities. Long-term impact, it does. I think I was a little surprised by the final results. Very pleased to see the amount of people that actually showed up. Would have been, of course, you always hope for more, that everyone would get out and vote.
I think more people voted in that than in the last election.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty close. So obviously it had created a fair bit of interest. Does it impact Moose Jaw? I don't know. Any of the information or the reading that I've seen says that you need to have a project of $50 million. That's kind of the base.
Before
P3 is
P3,
actually, P3 is actually viable.
P3 stands for private partnership and public.
Public-private partnership.
That's it, yeah.
So $50 million is maybe not that big of a number for Regina, but for projects here in the city of Moose Jaw, that's pretty steep.
Yeah. But the federal government said, we're going to give you $58 million if you do a P3 thing. And if you don't do it, then you won't have $58 million.
Yes.
So there were pressures both ways. Now you said you were kind of surprised. What were you surprised?
I thought it would be closer.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it would be closer, but then when you look at how Regina really did their campaign for the no vote, really made it a pocketbook issue.
Yeah.
So I think it got down really to a pocketbook issue, not some people are spinning it as ideological or, I mean, you can go and find information on P3s throughout Canada. Some have worked well, some have had lots of problems. So I think it all depends on how your deal's structured and what kind of an agreement you have in the long run. But yeah, it was an interesting process.
Yeah. And so now what's going to happen is it's going to be going ahead, we hope, I guess.
Yeah.
And what will happen with that is that they'll get their sewage treatment plant upgrades, and it'll be provided by a private company, and the government of the city still maintains control over the facility. I know is the staffing part of the component? Or not?
I thought I heard, and I'm not positive on this, but it sounded like staffing would remain city staff. Now, if that changed or not, I didn't
I think
get
that would
into
be a
the
big
details.
concern of the people who are on the yes side.
Yes, it would be.
If it was jobs were taken away.
Well, and it kind of gets into the whole issue of water.
Yeah.
You know, is water a commodity or is water?
Well, I think it's probably going to be the most valuable resource in the next century.
Yes.
In the world.
Yeah.
Because oil right now is the big commodity, but water is in fact because we have more water than most places in the world. And the Americans are relying a lot on our water, and it'll be interesting to see when, like, are we going to turn the taps off at the border and say sorry?
Well, it is a tough question,
Yeah.
one that we don't pay an awful lot of attention to at this point in time. So sooner or later, though, I think it's going to rise to the top and really be a concern for all.
Because when you go to a restaurant, you get water. But in Europe, you ask for water, you pay for water. It's not free.
Well, when you said that oil is one of the
Yeah.
most costly of the resources right now, think of what you pay for a bottle of water.
Yeah, it's
and
more
then
expensive than
calculate it
gasoline.
and calculate it
Yeah.
into a barrel and see
Yeah.
how much it would be in comparison to a barrel of oil.
And now our water here in Moose Jaw, of course, that's part of the infrastructure, and that's been a big, point of discussion and contention,
Yeah.
and because our infrastructure is decaying, and since I think in retrospect, if every council had put aside like 2% a year to deal with the future of infrastructure, that wouldn't be the issue it is today. But we've always had short-sighted. In retrospect, we can say that.
Yeah.
But looking back and saying, well, we have all this, our infrastructure's going away, and we have no money set aside just specifically for that kind of thing.
For infrastructure. What city councils have done over the last couple of years is the utilities, which is your wastewater and your drinking water. Both of those utilities are self-sustaining going forward. So what we have to deal with still is the last 100 years of infrastructure that's underground, and find a way to be able to replace that. So self-sustaining going forward, but you're right. The last 100 years, when you go back, the lifespan of some of this underground, the pipes, it's a problem, and we need to just figure out a way how we're going to replace it, and then look to find the money and figure out how we're going to be able to accomplish this, because it's long past the time of ignoring it, out of sight, out of mind. We really need to just get at it and make sure that we've got a plan in place long term.
And it's a staged thing too, because our underground pipes are going and our roads are going, and it makes no sense realistically to redo the roads when the next year you're going to have to tear up the road and replace the pipes. And yet we have to be able to function day to day.
Well, you're right. It's kind of the which do you do first, and it's always an annoyance to taxpayers and people in the community when they see a road that's been fixed, and then 6 months later or 4 months later we're digging it up to run new connections into a home. So it's really has to be a good analysis of where are the highest needs, and kind of pair that up with both underground and above ground. But you're right, you still have to do the day-to-day maintenance, and it still has to be usable in the meantime. So yeah, it's a fine line that you walk, being able to, and I know through the engineering department, it's a pretty fine line, and which you do first and how it's staged. And resources play a big part in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we should change all of the pipes, and we should pave the roads and do the sidewalks. And yet, to do that, it would cost you like your budget for 25 years.
Well, and part of it is too, is having people to do the work. We can do a certain amount in-house through city workers. But what we're finding is to be able to get tenders, put tenders out and have contractors come in and do some areas. We're not getting the uptake on that because there's just so much demand.
There's so much business in Saskatchewan. It's growing. It's an active, vibrant community.
So that's a problem also that we're running into, or that tenders are coming in considerably higher than what we expected. So
that's usually the case, sadly.
Yes.
But other things that are coming up, you were talking about tonight, as we tape the show, at the Armories, the banners celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Moose Jaw Armories are being unveiled to the citizens of Moose Jaw. And you, of course, are a friend of the regiment and very proud of that. And you get to go to that.
I do. I'm looking forward to it. That's my final event of the day on my calendar, and looking forward to it. And It's a very nice mix of people from throughout the community, but also from Regina, and also members of the regiment. I mean, it's always good to catch up and see what's been going on. And so, yeah, looking forward to that. It'll be a good evening and a historical evening, too.
Yeah, and social events, of course, we've only got like 2 minutes left, but just want to talk about the fact that the city and the government have had some friction regarding the housing. And I was up on South Hill and looking at the new development behind Warner Street, finally, after many years, because I lived on Hastings for many years, so Warner is just, it was Western Ice all the time I was growing up.
Now you're going back a ways. A lot of people won't remember Western Ice.
Yeah. But now there's going to be a lot of housing and stuff. And how are things going with that?
Good. There's a number of areas, and I mean, if people drive around the city, you'll see developments in just about all corners of the city, which is nice to see. The development that is on the southern end of the city is going to be, or parts of it are going to be in that affordable range. So that's helpful too. We've got a real nice cross section of housing coming. Still a few gaps and a few areas that we need to continue working on. And if we want people to move here, we have to have housing available. So it's an ongoing concern and something we'll keep our eye on, but good projects in the works. And West Park also is looking at adding another couple phases on their development. So it's moving well.
Well, it's just a final point as we quickly wrap up. You get to work with the Youth Advisory Committee as a, and that's a real coup for them. They're very excited. And you bring such a good presence, especially for, it's mostly girls, and they can see a woman who's had success, and I think they really think that's cool.
Well, I was surprised when I first seen the members of the committee that it is a vast majority of women, young women, which is impressive because they are. You're going to have your hands full as mentor for this group this year because they're a very sharp bunch. That's right, and they want to do things. They're not here just to put in time. They want to be active. So it's great to see. I mean, they're the young leaders that will be leaders in the community in the coming years.
Well, thanks for the time here today. And our next segment, segueing, is going up to the armories, and we're actually going to get a preview of some of the banners, so people who didn't get a chance to get up to see it on Friday night will have a chance. But they'll be around the community for many years. But thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
And continued success with the city.
Thank you.
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Wow. Okay, so we'll come back and we'll be up at the Armories in Moose Jaw, David B. Curry Armories, BC, to talk about the unveiling of the banners that celebrate the armories and the units that live there. So don't go away.